Welcome to the Job Search Podcast with your host, John Rivero, where we will be interviewing leading industry experts to help you get the job that you want. Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Canadian Job Search Podcast. My name is John Rivero, your host, and this week we've got a very special guest on our show who is a newcomer to Canada, and his name is Rajat Allen. What we're going to do with Rajat today is he's going to take us through his experience. One of the things that I am very well aware of is a lot of you out there that are looking for work are challenged with finding work, especially during this time. But I can tell you one thing, Rajat, has a great news story, and that's what I want to share with all of you. So Rajat, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, John. The honor is all mine. So it's good to be here, and you and Connell have always been of good help to me. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and to share your journey, because one of the things I do know, and you know this too, as you were doing your research to come to Canada, there's a lot of things out there that might be misleading or might be misconceived as the right way or the way that people do it here in Canada. Like for example, when we were talking earlier, you talked about, you were preparing yourself for 6 months for a job search, but we know, and as we go through your story, people are going to know it took a lot less than 6 months, but it takes some good concentrated effort and really a know-how on how to do that. So let's actually, sorry, do you want to add something to that, Rajat?
No, absolutely, John. So this was something that was told to me by many people who initially migrated to Canada, that yes, you will have to give some time to get acquainted with the market here, know the market, know the people. So you should be mentally prepared for this at least 6 months of time frame before you could get your job that you are looking for. So yeah, that was the thing that was probably imbibed in me before moving in here.
Yeah, and I can imagine, you might have heard a few, like some of the horror stories of people being unemployed for a very, very long time too, right? And I'm sure their experience is different from yours. So, and that's why I'm so happy to have you here to share your story and your journey with all the listeners to instill and bring some hope and inspiration into their own job search. So, as you were going through this, so what brought you to Canada originally? What was the thing that brought you here?
So my primary reason of moving to Canada was to the family reasons. I definitely wanted to have that good quality of life in here. That was my main motive while I was immigrating to Canada. Apart from that, I have been working as a research analyst for almost a decade, but one thing that was not provided to me was the international experience. I trusted my capabilities always. I knew what I can bring to the table, but I was just looking for the right exposure. And until as I would have made this move, probably back from home, it would have been very difficult for me to get this exposure, the international exposure, if I have to say. So this was another driving force behind my move to Canada.
Yeah, and that's good. And just for clarity, for those of you that are listening in, you are a research analyst in the financial field, right?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that's clear, because the one question we get asked all the time is, do you look after this field and do you look after this field? So I just wanted to kind of explain and share with everybody, when it comes to job search, regardless of the field that you're going into, there's still a methodology and a process in terms of what it is you need to do to be successful in that field. So as you were going through your job search, what were some of the biggest challenges that you encountered?
So for me, the biggest challenge was, and one thing that you require in Canada is to be very active on LinkedIn, knowing the right people to connect with, and finding out the right companies, looking for the right hiring managers, all those. So staying in touch with them, having a constant dialogue was something that I was a bit apprehensive to begin with, and I was feeling a bit low in confidence that how can I keep them more engaged and let them know about the skills that I can bring to the table. So that was one of the things that was always holding me back initially during my job search.
Yeah, and I totally understand that, especially when you're moving to a new place and you don't know anybody. Building out a network can be a little daunting. But
Yeah.
what were some of the things that you did to keep your audience engaged, like to keep your LinkedIn connections engaged with you? If you could, it'd be great if you could share some of those secrets with us.
Absolutely. So what kind of skills that I bring to the table, I never doubted that. But I always thought that, okay, let me produce some of the research notes that I have learned or I have experienced in the market. So I started making those research notes on a weekly basis. So it was a particular schedule that I was following every week, that every week, every Monday, I used to post on LinkedIn the market updates. It included the equity markets in North America, Canada, even the emerging markets, Europe, everywhere. And similarly, was the fixed income market updates that I was posting on LinkedIn every Monday. Apart from that, I used to prepare one trading note wherein I would highlight what could be the potential trade or what could be potential area of interest for the asset managers. So this was something that when I was preparing, I was mailing it to the 12 people that I've identified within Canada or the hiring managers I have identified. So I used to mail them personally on Tuesday that this is something that I've prepared, and probably if it's of interest to you, you can let me know and reach out to me, and we can discuss this in detail. And the same note was made public on Friday every week. And for obvious reason, there were some things. It was not a complete note on Friday because since it's a proprietary thing that I was producing, so I used to give just a gist of the trading opportunities one might find in the market at that time. So this was something that I was doing week over week over week, just to keep my audience engaged with me.
Nice. So when you talk about your note, so you're talking about writing an article based on your expertise about what you know or what you anticipate is going to happen, and really, and the purpose of that is really to highlight what you know about the market, to show your expertise and to let other people know, hey, you know what, this is where I specialize, right? So did you find that was important as you were going through your search? Like, did you have to become more specialized in what you do?
I won't say I had to become more specialized, but it was more about marketing my skills here. This is something that I have been doing previously as well, but obviously since I moved to this country without knowing anyone, people didn't knew what my skill set was. So probably a resume doesn't tell your complete thing that what you can bring to the table. They generally tell you this is something that you're good at, this is something that you've done. But if you have something practical to show, that is something which attracts the audience and gets you engaged with them. So when I was producing these papers and reaching out to my contacts on LinkedIn or over Gmail, at least I could see that they were visiting my profile on LinkedIn and they could see what exactly I could bring to the table. And that was a good conversation starter for me as well from there. Apart from engaging whatever they have been posting or what they have been doing over LinkedIn, I was definitely interacting with them at that point as well. But since they didn't knew me at that point of time, I couldn't get much response from them. But as soon as I started mailing them personally and they were finding out my papers interesting, they were engaging much more actively with me over LinkedIn as well then.
Nice. So when you talk about, and I just want to confirm and just clear it up for everybody else. So when you were mailing people your I'm going to call it a newsletter or your paper,
Mm-hmm.
you were sending it directly to their email boxes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
So how did you get the information? How did you get their emails?
obviously, that was something research that I am good at, and probably this is not something which anyone can do. I'm pretty sure. So identifying the companies, 10 or 12 companies that could be your prospective employers is very important, and then identifying those relevant people who could be the hiring managers or those who hold the key to those decisions. So looking for them, going through their LinkedIn profile, then obviously searching them on Google, identifying the patterns of the email IDs that are more relevant to those companies, and then there's accordingly shooting them an email. So initially there were a couple of them where the mails did bounce back because the email was not correct, but that was just 2 out of the 14 that I'd mailed. But still, I was able to get those 12 people with whom I can engage week over week.
And did you get responses from those people? Did anybody reply back to you since you were mailing week over week?
Yes, actually. two people did reach out to me, appreciating the paper that I had written on one of the trading strategies. That was actually the very first paper that I wrote on the trading strategy, and they really liked it. So they did ask me for the details on how I went about it. We had a good conversation as well over the phone when they asked me, okay, what was your approach, how you did it, how you came up with the strategy, what was the key aspect of it, and how do you see it performing going forward. So it was a really informative and an educative discussion for me as well, talking to some of the CIOs from big firms.
Nice. So, and that's great. And one of the things that we talk about is reaching out to the CIO or the CEO of an organization, because a lot of people have this, I don't know if it's a mindset or a fear around reaching out and connecting with people at that level. But how was that for you? Did you feel comfortable in doing that, like reaching out to people high up in an organization?
Absolutely. So initially, when I reached out to them, I also had it in the back of my mind that probably they won't reply to me. But while conversing with them, I would say they made me feel much more comfortable than I was. So hats off to these people, the CIUs in Canada that I have interacted with, how they were questioning me, looking at my suggestions. So they were always appreciative of it. Obviously, they were questioning the things that I had taken into consideration, but they were always open to suggestions on how I did it and how it could be further refined if they wanted to pursue it further. So initially, I would say that even I had this in the back of my mind that probably they won't reply to me, but once I started conversing with them, probably then that was the only C-level executives I probably would want to reach out now.
Nice. Yeah, no, and that's fantastic, because I know a lot of people have hesitation around reaching out to people at that level, or having that thought where, they're so busy. Who's got time for me? And, like, why would somebody want to read something? But I know the one thing that you did do that really elevated and showed your value was you just kept sharing your information until somebody eventually read it, which is
Yeah.
great, right? Like, because you never know, right? Like, you never know when you're reaching out to people what they're going to respond with. And, even if you've got 2 out of 14 CEOs to respond back to you, that's still 2 people in high up inside the organization that can make a difference for you. So that's fantastic. I love that approach. I love the strategy. I think it's great that you went through that effort to do the research to get the names of the people once you connected with them on LinkedIn. And I love how you highlighted the importance of LinkedIn to the job search. So maybe I'll let the cat out of the bag here, but so you have been successful in your job search. What was the thing that turned it all around for you? What helped you, really nail the job that you want? Because actually, you've got some other news, and I'll leave it to you to share with the rest of the audience. But you know, what was that turning point? What made that? What turned it around for you when it came to your job search?
um, what turned around everything for me was when I started seeing how these people were actually appreciating the paper that I have written, and they were willing to talk to me. So that gave me that extra bit of motivation and confidence to know, to obviously know that this is a skill that I bring to the table, and obviously I can market this skill within Canada as well, and people would require it. So that was a big turning point for me, that interacting with CIOs, industry leaders on these research notes, they appreciating my efforts on those. So that was a big turning point for me. And obviously, after having that initial struggle, I was able to land three jobs in probably almost about 6 to 8 weeks. So that's when I started actively looking for a job in the Canadian market.
Yeah. So I hope you heard that. 6 to 8 weeks, 3 job offers is fantastic, especially when you're brand new to the market and you don't know anybody. But there are approaches that you took that have made you successful. And what I'm hearing and what I'm observing is writing the paper was a huge turning point for you. It's actually what led to one of the job offers, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is something that led to one of the job offers. I was sharing my papers with one of the people that I've reached out in Canada, and he did reach out to me back, discussing my paper with me, uh, letting me know that this is something which is very good, and this is some of the things that we also want to do. And he did ask me whether would you like to come and work for us, and we are looking for someone with a very similar skill set who can help us in building up the market in Canada.
Nice. That's fantastic. It's and so it just goes to prove that when you do put out valuable information, and this is, I think, a big one for a lot of the job seekers that are out there, when you're offering value back out to the audience, whether it's on LinkedIn or through email, that's when you start to build your advocates. And these are the people that want you because they get to see what you're doing. And I guess what separates you, Rajat, from a lot of other people is you actually took that first step to reach out and to mail people, not knowing whether or not they liked it, but knowing that you were offering value through the content that you were offering. So that's fantastic. So, as we start to get, as we start to wind down the podcast, what advice would you give to other job seekers as they're going through this process?
Uh, so probably I can share my experience, and probably some of the things that I would want the job seekers to always keep in mind is that believe in the skills that you have. You should always know that what you bring to the table is going to be unique, but at the same time, until unless people know what skills you are bringing onto the table, it won't be of much help to you. So you should actually actively start marketing your skills. So I'm not saying it could be a very similar approach that what I have done. It could be altogether something innovative that you might come up with, but always look for the right people within the industry, identify the companies that you want to work for, or these are the companies that I want to work for. Identify the key people within those companies who are actually the decision makers in there. Do make an effort to reach them out. Don't hesitate in that, irrespective of if they are at a very senior designation or not, because these people will obviously make you feel comfortable once they start interacting with you. And the more they interact with you, the more confidence you will also gain, knowing that yes, my skills would be appreciated in this market as well. So the one last thing that I would want to say, that believe in the skills that you have, and you will definitely nail whatever job you want.
So that's fantastic. So believe in the skills that you have and being positive. So being
Yeah.
positive throughout the process as well, right? So did you find, because I know you and I, we've talked about this, but how did your mindset play in your job search in terms of how you approached your job search? Did you have did you have a positive mindset as you were going through the whole process, or was there something there that stood out for you?
Absolutely, John. So, having a positive mindset is also very imperative to it. Even if you are working on something, even if you are working on marketing your skills, you are actually improving your knowledge as well. So, one shouldn't feel bogged down by knowing that even if someone is not replying, you should feel confident that this is something that you are gaining out of it, even if they are not, if your connections or the people that you're trying to reach are not replying to you as of now, but you know that you are gaining something in knowledge from them.
Hmm.
Eventually, if you keep following this process again and again, without losing the hope and staying confident, you will definitely get the responses from the people that you are reaching, and you can take it wherever you want from there. So once you start conversing with them.
Yeah, and that's great. So yeah, no, and building and maintaining, and just because you have the offers now and you've got the job that you want, doesn't mean that the relationship stops either, right? Like this is something that you continue to build while you're going through the process, which is great. Um, yeah, so that's fantastic. So Rajat, thank you for taking the time to sit with me and to share your insights in terms of your the job, the whole job process. Is there any final notes that or any final thoughts that you want to leave with the audience?
Uh, First of all, thank you, John, so much. It was pleasure. It was my pleasure to be on the podcast here. And the final thing probably that I would leave the audience with is, believe in yourself. When you are moving or migrating to a new country, it's something that you will have to drive the results on your own. Don't let anyone drive those results for you. You are
Mm.
the one who is in control of your own situation. So it's all up to you how you take it, how positive you remain, and you will definitely get the results that you want if you have a good frame of mind.
Okay. And if people wanted to reach out to you and connect with you or learn more about you, Rajat, how would they do that?
So I am available on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn handle is Rajat Allen. So I am available there. And if anyone wants to reach out to me over email, my email ID is allen.rajat@gmail.com. So I'm available through both the mediums.
Excellent. And I'll make sure that I include that in the show notes so people know how to get a hold of you. And I'm sure there's going to be a series of other questions that a lot of people are going to follow up with in terms of, how do I get into finance? How do I get 3 job offers, right? Like that's amazing. And that's fantastic that you were able to do that. And actually, the one final question, did you get the job in the field that you wanted? Because I know a lot of what I've heard in terms of newcomers coming to Canada, they kind of settle for, lesser positions or anything. So does this position tie into exactly what you wanted to do?
Uh, so the good thing about the position is this is exactly the position that I have always wanted. So
Nice.
the experience that I brought into Canada, almost a decade of experience, I would be working in a very similar field, in the very similar profile that I've always wanted, given the exposure that I needed. So this is exactly the kind of job I was looking here in Canada, and I got it.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so happy for you. And I'm so happy that you got to a point where you had to decide, like which one do I do? And which role do I take? So thank you for that, Rajat, and thank you for taking the time to speak to me and the Canadian Job Search, the Canadian Job Search audience as well, because I know there's going to be a lot of value in this, and you're going to bring a lot of hope and inspiration to their job search. So thanks again for being a part of our show.
Thank you so much, John. And definitely, I would like to mention that you and Connell have been of a big help to me during this process. And I really appreciate all the efforts that you have put in with me. So, definitely a big thank you to you as well.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That is it for this episode of the Canadian Job Search Podcast. Wishing y'all a great one. Talk to y'all soon. Take care.